The second book, which I think both of you have, is Blood on the Coven. I think both of you have this book.
Right here.
Yep.
Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Daily Humans. This is Nina.
And I'm Ashley.
And today we have a special guest, our amazing friend, editor, JP Steward is in the building.
I love that intro. Thank you. Hi guys, I am Jay, the editor. I am I thought about this last night. I am an author, creative, entrepreneur who dabbles in music. I think that's what I was gonna go for. That's what I'm going for. So yeah, author, creative, entrepreneur who dabbles in music, and editor for you guys, which I do really enjoy editing for you guys. It is really fun.
You've been doing an amazing job. Thank you so much. We would not be alive without you today.
Our hair would not be on our head if it wasn't for you, Jay.
Yeah.
Editing can be really stressful, so I feel you guys. I'm glad to take the stress off your shoulders.
Thank you.
I hope you know from last season I've got some bald patches, so thanks to you, they're healing. Thank you, Jay.
I'm here for your hair growth, Ash. I'm here for it.
Every single episode, you'll just, without you, it would have just been a continual one hair less. And at the end of season 2, we would have just been bald. Like,
yeah.
You'll just casually see us with our hair flipped over because this side's going bald. But so
you gotta cover it up a little bit. Finally purchase maybe like a wig.
Exactly. Ooh, exactly. Wigs are bomb. Wigs are bomb though.
Yeah.
But trying to install them, I feel like would take a process.
It's a pain. It is a pain. Oh yeah.
Oh, have you worn a wig before for
I
a long period of
myself.
time?
I haven't myself, but my friends cosplay. So I have seen them go through the process of putting on wigs, and it is painful. It is not fun.
Yeah. I feel like that whole process would be so timely, but fun timely from my own perspective.
Yeah. That's why convention goers get up like 4 hours before they actually go to the convention, because that's just setup and dress and everything. It's
wow, I had no idea.
Shout out to them, no major respect. Looks great. I'm from Australia and I say TikToks and I'm like, oh my gosh, you all look absolutely astounding.
Yes, it's incredible. But Ash, I'm surprised that you haven't like worked with people who've worn wigs, because you did special effects makeup before, right?
Yeah, no, I have. I did a Comic-Con once here in Australia, because we do have Comic-Con here.
Mm-hmm.
And she did a Jesper, but a pink and white Jesper. So I don't really know what character that is. I'm not familiar. But she looked stunning. I did her mask for her and tried to make it look as 3D as possible with paint. So that was a really cool experience.
That's so
mostly
cool.
Halloween parties and stuff like that. But yeah, I took a photo too. I got a photo. She looked fabulous. She rocked it.
And you are incredible. You are incredible, honestly. Ashley has sent me the pictures before. We went on like a whole picture spam moment a couple months ago, I think it was. And we've sent each other so many pictures with like her with the makeup and the FX, I think, right? That's what it's called?
Yeah, special effects, yeah.
Yeah, special effects. It's just, oh my God, so talented in every single way. You're a queen.
It takes true talent to be able to do that stuff for real. So props to you, Ash, honestly.
Thank you. And I mean, I'm definitely not the only one that has such a creative flow in this chat. You know, our special guest definitely has a lot to share with you all today, 100%. So many amazing things that one human being is doing. And if you would love to share with us your creativity flow, we'd love to hear it.
Well, let's not talk about the amount of craft projects I have half finished across this entire apartment, because that's not a flow. That's just sitting there. Well, it definitely is weird, like hearing you guys say it, because we've been talking about this recently. Hearing you guys say that I have so many creative projects, and then realizing that everything I do is creative. Like even all the way back when me and Nina first met, is all creative stuff. Because we met through fan fiction, didn't we?
Actually, yes, we did.
I was going to
I
ask
told
when
this.
you met.
I don't know if you remember this, Jay, but we met initially for the very, very first time on a site called Quizilla, which essentially, Ash, is like a site where you
Quillzilla.
can like do quizzes and you can write a little fanfics, really short ones. And I am so embarrassed, but like I used to write fan fiction about who was it? Enrique Iglesias and Adam Lambert. And
Of course you did. Of course you
and she
did.
found me on an Adam Lambert one. And later on, I left Quizilla, I think it was, and I went on a site called DeviantArt, and I had gotten into Irish music, Celtic music, a group called Celtic Thunder, and her name had popped up in one of the stories I'd written or like quizzes that I've like made. I don't know what it was in particular, but her name came up, JP Steward, and I was like, or was it Music Lover, something like that? And I was just like, I remember her. I remember her. And then slowly throughout the years, we became closer and closer and closer. And it's still to this day crazy to think that we met when I was, I think, 11, 12. And I was like making quizzes online.
Yeah. You were like 12, I was 11, so we've been friends for now like over a decade, which is terrifying to think about. And like,
That's so cool.
what makes me feel so old is the fact that Quizilla's not around anymore. They shut the site down.
Yeah.
Sounds like a villain site. Sounds like you guys were on there to do some secret, like, behind the scenes villainy. Quiz villain.
Little quizzes like, who's your boyfriend? Which of these members from this group is your boyfriend? Who from this show is your boyfriend? Kind of stuff. Those are the
I
biggest
know what
ones
Nina
on
would have
there.
said. Nina would have been like, Enrique Iglesias sings so perfectly. What would you say now?
Wow, that's a whole different conversation. Oh my goodness.
Should have talked
Enrique
about it.
Iglesias. Sure, if we want to.
We'll save that for another day, but
Yeah.
that's very cool that you guys have known each other for so long.
Yeah.
How's it
I'm-
progressed to now?
Well, what's hilarious is before you popped in, Ash, me and Nina were just talking about the hilarious bit of this is the third time me and Nina have ever done a video call in our entire friendship.
Yeah. We
Because, like,
definitely go ahead, sorry.
there was a time there where we didn't talk. So like after DeviantArt, we hooked up on Instagram and everything, and we were friends on there, but we didn't talk for a few years. And then we reconnected via K-pop.
K-pop is the birthplace of all of our friendships, honestly, even you and me, Ashley. Like,
Oh, yes.
oh,
Same
it's crazy.
storyline going there.
Right? Like for you, Ash, it was K-dramas. For me, it was the music, but it all just back to that Korean industry just dragging us all in.
Oh.
It's a cool story to tell, though. You met both your friends via like K-pop industry,
Yeah.
industry. How do you say it?
I think K industry is fine.
Yeah.
K industry.
It's amazing, honestly. And speaking and thinking about this now, I wonder how long it's going to take until the site that you and I met on actually to shut down, because I think we talked about it before.
It needs to.
That's the proper response.
Hey, baby, will you marry me? That's like the first thing that popped into our inboxes. Hey, baby, where you from?
Oh God. Nope.
Hey, babe, do you think that you'd move over to the side of their country for me? Yeah, totally, because you're a bot at sexy.
Gosh, it reminds me of that movie that we talked about before, Ash, 365 Days.
Oh, gosh.
What was it? Are you lost, baby girl?
Are you lost, baby girl?
I can't.
And it's such like a stern, like, it's such a, like, she's down there and he's like, are you lost, baby girl? And I'm just like, I'm not doing that in a way of being like, oh, that's so hot, so I'm steaming. I was just like, oh.
That's the cringe pause. That's what that is. That's the oh.
Yes. Okay, no. Imagine that was one of us. I'm like, mate, what do you mean about loss? I know where I'm going. I'm an Aussie. We have maps.
We have maps. I love that.
You know what? We didn't even kind of ask if where Jay's from. You know, Nina's from Germany, Ashley's from Australia. Jay, where are you from?
I am from America. I am from the West Coast. I live in Southern California, which is known for the heat and the palm trees. So they're not wrong. I literally live in the desert. I'm like 2 hours from Death Valley, which is the hottest place on the planet. It's great.
I have seen, I think it was you who sent it to me, Jay, the video that Death Valley now has water. It's like an ocean. It's like a beach.
Yes. we have a very mysterious lake, as we call it. I think that's what we call it. Because like we've gotten so much rain here recently that like a lot of like the lakes that didn't exist anymore are popping back up again. That is how much rain we've gotten.
Wow. Oof.
It's so it's like it's hot, but it's also wet, so it's super muggy. It's just it's muggy. That's what it's been like for like a month.
What does that feel like being there? Because you lived in Seattle before, or in, where was it? Washington? Yeah, Washington before, right? It wasn't Seattle, it was Washington.
Yeah. I lived on the east coast of Washington, which is much more dry compared to the west coast, but we got a lot more rain there. Like we still had our thunderstorms, our summer storms. The summer storms are what the California storms remind me the most of because it's just so humid and hot, and it's my hair when it's not damp from a shower is afro fully. So that's why when it rains, I don't go outside. I will say, because I have been to Seattle. I've been to Seattle several times because it was only like a 4-hour drive from where I lived, which in Washington standards, that's not that long of a drive. And like it's not nearly as rainy as everyone thinks it is. It is just damp and cloudy.
Okay. So in general, kind of similar to California, just a lot more hot and sunshine.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
Sounds like Bali.
Yeah, kind of. Because I've heard about the way Bali is as well. Yeah.
Oh, you got any bumps on your nose? That will melt off the moment you're in Bali. I have like little bumps on my nose. Once I was in Bali, like that was gone. You can't wear makeup because your face is just constantly sweating.
Wow.
Constantly. It's like shiny. You don't even need highlighter. Like it's already there.
It's a natural glow.
Yeah, you're glowing already.
Yeah, exactly. You just mat the T-zone and then leave the cheeks glowy and you're fine. It sounds like Bali.
Yeah, and it's weather like that that has made me like so the back of my head is shaved because my hair is so thick that like it's just too hot for me to have all my hair. Like when the humidity sinks into your hair, like it stays and it does not go away.
Yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do to keep your hair on a good hair day.
Yes.
It won't be for long. That humidity is gonna come in as soon as my hair dries and it's gonna be like, no, afro.
It's kind of like what I was talking about with the sun attacking Australia. It's like humidity is just looking for your hair. Go at it.
You've got the sun. I've got humidity. Nina, what do you got?
Just no air conditioners. So when the summer comes, I just melt away into nothing. I just become the air. Circle of life.
God, when I learned that Europe doesn't have aircon or air conditioning, like, Europe, what are you doing?
It's not good for the environment.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, but neither is sweltering.
or but
Or war. You're doing that too. They have a track record.
oh,
We're gonna have to
man.
get you from Amazon those fans that you hold in front of your face and they run off water and it just keeps spitting at you. It just keeps going with the fan in front of your face. Have them in both hands and just sit there.
Exactly. Oh. How would you say that the places that you grew up in and the things that you've experienced in your own life kind of contributed to you being a creative, doing everything that you do today?
Surprisingly, you would think based on my background that I wouldn't be a creative. My family was not supportive. Like, despite like music is a big thing in my family, and my family had a lot of musicians in it. My great grandma, nope, wrong way. My great grandma played the piano for our church, and that is her piano back there. And one of we call her Aunt Annabelle. I have actually no idea how exactly she is related to me, but Aunt Annabelle played a lot of instruments and did a lot of creative stuff. But my parents were very, very rigid. They were very strict. My dad was a Marine. So, like, the very first time I ever gave my dad a manuscript or like a piece of writing, he handed it back to me with red marks all over it and corrections and what I need to do to make it better and reasons why I can't be an author.
I'm so sorry. That's terrible.
It wasn't easy growing up, I will say that. My dad was very mentally abusive, I think is the proper way of phrasing that. So like there wasn't a lot of support or kindness in my family growing up, but despite that somehow, or well, I guess technically what I did is I like channeled all of it into my creative stuff, and then eventually it broke out, and I just decided randomly in 2019 to be like, hey, I'm gonna publish a book and let's see what happens. And now I published 3 books.
That's incredible. Really. I think so many
Definitely.
people get discouraged when they are met with reactions like that, and for you to take everything that you've been dealt and then be like, you know what, no, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to follow my passion. That is something that so many people just don't end up doing. I can speak for myself as well with saying that, because when I grew up, I wanted to be a painter, and my family very much looked down upon it. It was like, the people that you look up to, Monet and Van Gogh and all these people, their paintings got well and got famous after they died. And that just kind of shattered my whole illusion. So the fact that you took that and we're like, you know what, no, I'm going to still pursue what I want to do and write and create and let my heart really flow in that direction where it needs to, where I've been called to do that. Absolutely amazing. I really want you to be proud of that, truly.
Thank you guys. That means a lot, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm still like working through a lot of the stuff from my childhood. I'm in therapy, have been for like, I think, oh God, almost 10 years, because I realized my 10-year reunion is coming up and I started therapy in my senior year. So like that is also something I'm wrapping my brain around. And it's weird because I literally just did it on a whim. Like I jumped around so much after high school, not knowing what I wanted to do because I didn't think I could do creativity things as a career. Like I said, we met through fanfic. I wrote fanfic for probably close to a decade before I finally was like, hey, I can actually turn some of these into books. And so like I dabbled in music. Dabble is the best way to put it. I taught myself how to play guitar. I own a violin that I have barely ever played. And I did get a degree in music production, but I've never done anything with it. Like I know how music works now and I know how to make it. I've just never gone through with it. So it's really interesting that like I tried so many different avenues and the ones that I ended up on are not the ones I expected to, which was writing and video editing. Because I know you guys find it a little weird because you were stressed, but I do enjoy editing.
That's okay. You're allowed to.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's so interesting to me because of what you just said. Like you had planned and thought that you would go one way, but you ended up in a completely different area that you didn't expect before. And yet still you ended up where you are now because you followed your passion. And my question to you, which just kind of like popped up, is like, what would you, to anybody listening to this or watching this, if they're struggling with deciding if they want to go for it or not, what advice would you have in terms of like breaking through and just going for it?
There's nothing you can lose by trying. One of my absolute favorite quotes is, "Don't let the fear of striking out keep you from playing the game."
Is that from Cinderella's story?
It's not. It is from Cinderella's story, but it is an actual quote by Babe Ruth.
Okay.
Yes, it is also from that movie. I love that movie.
Same.
So yeah, just like there is nothing you can lose from taking a shot. You need to try. You'll never know if you don't try. Because like when I published Searching for Home, it's not a great book. It definitely needs work, and it was based off like an 80s fanfic because K-pop rules my life. But I tried it and I wanted to see if I could do it, and I did it. And because of that little leap chance, I am now on my path to becoming a full-time author.
You know, I caught something when you were talking, Jay. You mentioned on the lines of big K-pop lover. Am I correct to say that?
Yes. Yes.
We'd love to hear about your big love of K-pop.
I fell in love with the K-pop industry, and so one of my exes introduced me to K-pop, is the hilarious part, and she introduced me, I think the very first K-pop song I ever heard was Ring Ding Dong by SHINee, and it got stuck in my head. And so I then looked it up, and when I looked it up, I went down a rabbit hole on YouTube. And it's hilarious because like the first song I heard is Ring Ding Dong, the most meme-ish song in K-pop. It was actually like banned from Korean schools during exam time because people would listen to it so much to help them focus and study because it's a repetitive song. And then the second K-pop thing I saw was that, and then the second thing was a music video by the group BAP, who is sadly no longer a group anymore. But it was like one of their most heart-wrenching cinematic masterpiece music videos called 1004 Angel, where one of the members, shoots themselves at the end. Like, that was my introduction to K-pop. And it was wild. And for some reason, after that, I was hooked, and I have never looked back since. I am like the multi-stan of multi-stans. I can name probably over 50 groups that I know of now, which is wild.
It's amazing, yeah.
Would you like to name some that you know of?
I'll name like the ones that I know that I love the most, which would be SHINee, ATEEZ, BAP, 17. I'm blanking, but those are the main ones. Who's above me? BAP 8. No, I named FT Island, which is technically K-pop. They're a rock band. They're a Korean rock band that I really like, even though they went from like 5 members to now 3, I think. I think there's only 3 left in the band, but I still love them. So those are like some of the like staple groups that I love and know. But if there's any like mainstream groups, I absolutely know who they are because I did when I was in college for music production, I actually did research papers on the K-pop industry and their music and the contracts that they work with in the industry and everything. So like I use that as an outlet to be able to get good grades.
That's amazing. That's awesome. That's super, super cool. So you are probably like a pro at this point with knowing everything about the industry.
For the most part, I'd say. Kind of.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
I definitely feel like sometimes I'm too into K-pop, but I also know I'm not like stalking idols or following them places or like I don't spend all day on Instagram looking at their stuff anymore. So I'm like, I'm not a crazy K-pop fan. I'm okay.
I think it's valid. Some people love postcards, some people collect rocks. Like it's a love. It's your love, and that's
Yeah,
valid.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
Definitely.
I
I
have
think.
like so many like I have like an entire little like I don't know what they're called. It's like a case, a CD case with all my K-pop CDs in it, and I think there's at least 50 or 60 in there of just K-pop CDs.
I think that's so cool. And honestly, I have to like mention this because it's something that has come up with me personally as well, where it's like you said before that sometimes you feel like you're too into K-pop. And I just want to say there is such a thing as being too obsessive of anything, but I think in a lot of
Mm,
ways these days in society, a lot of the things that we enjoy hobby wise or the things that we are interested in, the things that make us really happy, get stigmatized a lot, especially for women, where it's like men can have cars
yes.
and football and things like that, but we if we like K-pop or we like collecting Bratz dolls or whatever, then we're looked at as weird. We have to grow up, And so I just want to say that
Mm,
you're very valid in liking what it is that you like and wanting
mm,
to be interested in what you want to be interested in. Nobody should judge you
yeah,
for that. So Jay, go ahead and love your K-pop. There's absolutely nothing wrong with
that's
that.
right.
Okay.
That's right. There was a full
See,
discussion about that with who was it? There was I think it was a BTS or something like that, how the fandom can love them, right? But then men that love footy, like it was sort of the reactions of, well,
yeah,
if men can react like this with footy, then why can't girls, women react to BTS like that? I think that was the conversation that's been had. And it's so true though. It's
Yeah.
so true. People get in AFL here, people really get into it. And you're so valid too. But then what someone else gets into is also valid as well. As long as we
Mm,
obviously boundary ourselves and have those boundaries, it's valid no matter what it
yeah.
is. Even Taylor Swift, I have to say this too. Taylor Swift came here. She's currently here for her era tour,
yeah,
is it? Not 100% sure. You confirmed it. I'm
yeah.
sure now. She's currently here and she has such a large fandom here. She did 96,000 people in our I think it was our Marvel Stadium that we have. It's the big one that some artists perform at, and the fandom was outside the stadium as well. Like it was just so packed from what I saw on TikTok. And then there are people in the comments that are just making fun of the people that love Taylor Swift and are just absolutely trying to tear down someone's love and someone's joy. And I'm reading the comments thinking, this is what we do as human beings, just to have this kind of conversation. This is what we do. We take something that is really joyful and then we try to squash it because of the way we view it, the way that people view her, the way people view the fandom. And it's like, if you look at the videos, right, they're sharing bracelets, they're exchanging bracelets. The police, even the Australian police, were exchanging bracelets. It looked like such a supportive, and they were dancing as well, even on the train on the way home. There's videos of them singing. It looked like such a gathering of just pure joy, and yet you can, in your disdain and your ignorance and ego, people commenting, putting people down for enjoying something like this. And it's just taking away someone's love and joy. And then, as I've said in many episodes, then advocating for mental health and wanting better mental health is so hypocritical. So love what you want to love. Love it. If someone's going to have disdain over it, they have disdain over their own personal issues, and that's theirs. They can keep their crap in their own space. So love it away, Jay. Love it away. Because I know I love my hobbies, and Nina loves hers. Love yours. Everyone else, love yours. Don't apologize for it.
It's definitely really good advice for all you guys listening because that is the hardest thing to learn, especially like Nina said, as a female. Like, we grow up loving boy bands and everything, and we love all that stuff, and then we get shamed for it even when we're teenagers. Like,
Yeah.
we're kids. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy though, when you think about it? It's like the world is already, we as people have to deal with so much in the world, and then we get judged for what brings us happiness. And yet, like Ashley said, we want to have a better society.
Yeah, how do we do that if we just take away everything that brings joy to people?
Right.
Because that's essentially what people are doing online, and they don't just do it in little small increments. It's just like full on. There was one particular account, just to say this, that I noticed on the news outlets that we have. We're posting about Taylor Swift. There was one particular account that I kept seeing on different videos, just commenting, being like, "What a sad fandom! They're so toxic. They're so disgusting for liking Taylor Swift, and for spending all that money on a concert." And it's like, And then people also saying, "We're in a struggling economy. How can you spend money on Taylor Swift?" And it's like, think about it. People work. They work for their money. They earn that, their choice. And if that brings them joy, because some of them even said, "I don't regret this. I saved up for this. I want to go to this. This is what I've been really looking forward to." And it's like, you're hearing someone say that this is what they've been looking forward to. They've saved up. They've done what they needed to do for their joy, for their love. And your immediate reaction is to ridicule that, self-assess.
Yeah.
There's so much misery. People need their loves and their joys, and they're so entitled to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh,
Yeah,
hello.
it's not a privilege, it's a right.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yes, that's perfect.
Drop.
There's the first mic drop of this episode.
Ashley's wisdom.
My friend, that's your theme song.
You both can have theme songs. We'll make it work.
Excuse me, Jay, our lovely editor. Can you create my own theme song for me? She can't have the one I made for her. She can't make that for me.
Yeah, you gotta have separate ones. Similar but separate.
Oh, I can just imagine it could start off with that guy from 365 Days. "Are you lost, baby girl?" Dun, 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 dun. Ashley's wisdom. I would be laughing every time I hear it.
That's why it'd be perfect.
Yeah, that's your theme song now, Ash.
And then, I have an idea. He's like, "Are you lost, baby girl?" And in the background of it, you hear, "I've got a map from me."
Okay. As soon as I figure out how to get my DAWs working, I may around with that.
That would be amazing. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nina.
You're so welcome. I don't think I contributed to this, but that's just your genius, Ashley.
I said it to Jay before that like an idea is sparked from someone else's creativity.
True.
Your word just like ding. When Jay was talking before about something, ding. It just happens.
Yes.
I'm so curious, Jay.
Yeah.
Do you have any plans to go to any concerts anytime soon with K-pop community?
Yes. Also, just real quick, everyone say hello to Leola. This is my baby.
Hello, you cutie.
She's gorgeous.
Oh my gosh. There's something about cat eyes. They're just so like mesmerizing. Even though cats, I'm not the biggest fan, their eyes are so, oh my gosh.
And her eyes are really pretty. I love her so much.
What color are her eyes?
Green. They're like a greenish hazel, kind of like my eyes. Mine
are green hazel too.
Triplets. Okay.
Twinning and then triplets.
Cats aside, yes, I do want to go to a K-pop concert this year. We're trying to save up money so we can eventually like move out of our apartment that we're in right now. But like our credit scores are too low to do anything about it within the next like year or so. So I'm like, cool. Everyone gets one event they want to go to, and that's what we're gonna do. So I'm like, there's Head in the Clouds, which is a Korean hip hop festival that comes to LA every summer, which I went to last year, and I saw DPR and Rena. Rena, I'll throw the name up because I'm never gonna say it right. But I saw her and DPR and a couple other artists that I really like there, so that's like a festival that I'm thinking of. But then I know ATEEZ is okay. ATEEZ like a month ago said, "Hey, we're going on tour in the US." And they haven't told us anything else. That's it. That's all they said.
Mic drop and then leave.
Right? And then I think Stray Kids is supposed to be going on tour. 17 has teased they may be going on tour. So there's like I have to wait to see like what groups are going to be where it lines up, because I know in May we usually go to the Renaissance Fair here in LA. So if a K-pop group comes in May, I know I won't be able to go see them. So I have a lot that I want to see. And even though I've seen a lot of groups at KCON, which is also a festival type event with multiple K-pop groups, but to be able to see them at solo concerts is what I really want. So like I'm hoping this year I can go to a solo concert for once. Because I think I've only ever been to one solo K-pop concert, and it was BAP, like a year or so before they disbanded. So
speaking of groups that you've seen or just like artists that you've seen, DPR is a massive influence for you, your writing, your creativity, even your music.
yes.
How have they inspired you throughout the years in your art?
Jennifer Vaxeldan, do you mind? Hi, you're very cute. You're very cute.
The way he looked at the camera
Just
too.
casually like walk past and then leave the tail hanging out on the side.
Yep. And then spike the lens a little bit there. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Hold on. I put stuffed animals in his chair, and that was rude of me. How dare I? So DPR was a surprise to me. I liked, so when I first got introduced to DPR, I was introduced to DPR Ian. And then through him, I discovered the company and then DPR Live. And I absolutely, the very first time I ever heard, I think Jasmine was one of the first DPR Live songs I ever heard, and I fell in love. I loved his sound, his style, his energy. I loved it so much. And then he has now, DPR Live, or Hong Dabin, has now released 2 albums at like the exact time I needed them. Like they dropped right when I needed something, and all the lyrics hit really hard. And so like his legacy album under his pen name DPR Live came out when I was transitioning, moving back to California and kind of struggling with like, that was when I was writing my second book, and it was really, really hard, and it took me like a year to get it out. And then his latest album, which he released under his actual name, Hong Dabin, came out literally, I think, like a month ago, I think, about that. And like I've been struggling with my own journey because, and we'll talk about this later, I decided to keep publishing under my name, JP Steward. And so I was going through this whole process. And so his album helped inspire me to keep going, because I definitely struggled at the top of this year, even though it's only February. It's still struggling. So like their music really, Live's music specifically, really helped motivate me to keep me going. And Ian's music, his music very much inspires my creativity. Ian is a very creatively driven person. He takes like his mental health disorders and he uses them for his creativity, which is something that I do, but I'm nervous to do. So seeing somebody else do it and do it beautifully has been also very inspiring. And they have like this whole complex storyline in their music videos. And I took my interpretation of that and turned that into my third book. So they absolutely fully inspired everything in my third book.
That's incredible. That's so amazing.
And I think they know I exist. So
even more amazing.
Right? Still trying to process that.
I think it's so brave when you take something that is so personal to you and your own experience, like mental health, and you put it in your art. For DPR Ian, in this case, his music, and for you to then be inspired by that and then write a book, kind of being inspired by them, but also using your own creativity to have your voice be heard. Full circle moment. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Tell us about your books.
Yes. Okay. So I'll start with that. I write in the adult fantasy genre. I like YA. Obviously grew up on YA, but I don't like some of the restrictions that are in the YA genre, especially like when it comes to the age of the characters. I prefer to write my characters in their like mid to late 20s, early 30s, because they match kind of where the headspace that I am in and where I am in my life currently. So they're all adult fantasy. We'll just start with this. So we'll just go one by one. They're searching for home. This was the first one. This is a pirate fantasy kind of magic. There's mermaids, there's gods, there's Ireland, which is magic to me. So, pirate fantasy. The second book, which I think both of you have, is Blood of the Coven. I think both of you have this one.
Right here.
Yep. There she is. This one is witches. Like shifter witches and coven and magic and fighting. And this is my baby. This is my favorite of the books I've written. This is my baby. Someday, the sequel for this will come out. There is a sequel. Someday. I know, Nina, I told you, and you're so mad about it because I haven't written it. I'm getting there. Maybe book 5 or 6 if you can be patient.
Wow. Okay, that's news. It's fine. I'll wait. Take all the time in the world.
That was such like a no worries.
I wasn't expecting 5 or 6, but okay.
Listen, book 4's already started. Okay. Book 3 was the one inspired by DPR. This is my first try at sci-fi, so it's sci-fi fantasy. That's redundant, I think, but it's sci-fi. And it is Planet 737, so it is titled after the planet that DPR visits in all of their music videos. So it is based around that. It's sci-fi. It's got a lot of sci-fi stuff in it. Aliens, weird magic creatures, ancient stuff, what you would expect from sci-fi.
Found family as well, right? Very much found family.
All of them have found family. So all of these are found family tropes.
It's incredible.
These two are based off of 80s initially. So all of the, if you know 80s, you'll kind of see some of the similarities in some of the characters. So that's kind of who these books became based off of. So fanfic to this day, continuing to inspire everything I do.
That's awesome.
And the fourth book is currently in the process of being written. It is also witches. It is modern day witches, and it is more on the romance side. It's got a little bit of romance, a little bit of enemies to lovers. It's also got a little bit of investigative journalism, some serial killer stuff.
Okay.
So it's something I've been wanting to try for a while because it's loosely based off of a lot of fanfics I've read for Draco and Hermione from Harry Potter. So it takes a lot of inspiration from those two characters, fanfic-wise, obviously.
Yes. That's so cool. Blood of the Coven was the very first book the very first book I've read of yours, and I can't say how much I still to this day love this book. It's so fast-paced, it really pulls you in, and it's just the found family trope in general is something that I love, and that really reflects kind of how I feel in my life, with knowing the both of you Ashley, you Jay, and a couple of other friends, where it's like when you really find your people and you find your tribe, that where you feel understood and loved and accepted in, that just it makes your whole life better. And so to see that reflected in books is always so nice to see, because I think so many books, at least that I have read, don't really have that as much. It's really much more about romance or murder and finding the killer and things like that, you know.
Yeah.
But found family, witches, witchcraft, finding your people and going through life through thick and thin together, that is incredible. And I would implore anybody watching this or listening to the podcast, please check out Blood of the Coven. It is such a great book. And of course, Planet 737, my very first sci-fi book, by the way. I've never read sci-fi before. No, so I'm very
pick up a
excited.
different sci-fi book first, please. Please read something else first.
Never.
Which, Ash, I know you just picked up the book and you're going to be reading it soon. I will be prepared for any angry comments you have towards me when you finish the book. So if I get angry rants from you, I'm okay. Feel free to flood the group chat. I understand. I am not nice to my characters.
I look forward to reading it. I've kind of started. I have started. But I'm really looking forward to reading the whole thing. I really am. To experiencing what unfolds. I'm very excited to get through this and read your book, because I feel like anyone that I know, even people that I don't know, like individual solo artists, even their music, anyone that is just starting out in the field but also finding their way through it, like I feel like they have so much to share. So I am honored to read your book that came from your mind and your creativity and your imagination, and I think that is just A grade. A grade, mate. You hit the nail on the head with this book.
I love
Truly.
you guys. I love you guys so much.
As Nina says, I got this on Amazon, by the way, for Aussies. Amazon.
Yes.
And that ships quickly too. And the other book, and 737, was it?
Planet 737.
Planet 737 is also on Amazon as well, because I found it on there too. So and the other one is probably on Amazon too, is it?
Yes, Searching for Home is also on Amazon. Yes. Yeah, Glam Apocalypse is the one that is like listed as unavailable on my page, and it wasn't even like, it was an Adam Lambert fanfic, but it was specifically for his bassist Tommy Joe Ratliff. And I like to just forget that it existed. It was bad. I wrote it. It was so bad. That one I know sucks.
Was that your first book?
Technically, so this is a fun fact. The very first like ever novel length book that I wrote was a fanfic called Galaxies Away, and it is an 11th Doctor Who fanfiction. And that was like the first novel length I wrote. After that was Glam Apocalypse, and then after that was Searching for Home, which I consider my first like actual published book. So
well, we all
like
have to start
just the learning experience. Oh my gosh. You gotta love online.
I know, right?
Go ahead.
You want to rock, paper, scissors? Who goes next? No, I was just gonna say, it sounds like the learning journey of it. So you had your starting and then your next book, and you're just like, not too satisfied with it, so you just kept going. It just sounds like that, really.
Oh yeah.
I've heard stories of people that have written 5 books and they're like, nah, this isn't working, so they just have to keep learning and experiencing and developing from there. That's just what it sounds like, to be honest, to me.
Oh yeah. Every time you write a book, you learn something new, and you learn more about your writing style and your craft. So the more you write, the better you get. Which is why it's hard sometimes, because I'm definitely like, I've constantly been in a state of like autistic burnout for like several years now. So writing while doing that is hard, but if I stop writing, you can regress in your writing skill if you do not write often enough. Like with any skill, if you don't do it enough, you will lose it. So like I haven't written a lot recently, but I'm actually going to like, not to post it anywhere, but I want to try starting to write little fanfics for myself again. to have like writing practice again outside of my actual books. So like trying to implement process so I can continue to learn and grow. Because like I think the biggest thing that changed in my writing from like the first two versus Searching for Home is there's this thing called white room syndrome where basically you don't describe the area they're in. You don't take time to describe the scene. You just focus on the characters and the dialogue. So nobody like most people won't be able to picture where's this happening and what's going on. And when I learned about that, I realized, oh, that's why my writing doesn't feel right. And so for that last three books, I've been working really, really hard on like scenery building and scene building and making my books feel more full so people can actually visualize what's going on in them.
And you've done an incredible job. Honestly,
Mm.
you really, really have. I love your books. I can only recommend them to everybody watching or listening. Please, please, please go read it. It's awesome. She's awesome.
Even the sound of, oh my
Go ahead.
gosh. I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, even from you hearing your explanation of your journey with this, it really just goes to show how much work and effort is put into it and how much also mental effort is put into it. So I feel like that is a good advocacy for a lot of writers as well, to realize that for some people, things are so simplified to them because they're not doing it. But the journey is actually a progress. And you have moments where you'll write a book and then it won't be something that you see as potential to publish anymore. You know, you'll have those kind of moments. So I definitely think that showcases that someone's ideology of easy actually is a process. Even though you love it, it's a process.
Oh yeah.
Major respect for that.
That's incredible. Yeah, just amazing. And it's actually something that I wanted to say as well. Like, how in the time that you've developed your writing, what do you think has changed about your voice as an author?
Good question.
Honestly, like the one thing I know that I have always been like told that I am amazing at from creative writing teachers in high school, even the few praise I got from my dad, was dialogue. And I think that that is where I shine the most and where you can hear a lot of my voice in is through the way my characters talk. Because I don't shy away from curse words, I don't shy away from slang. I make the dialogue feel like you would if you were talking to your friends. Like I make it feel realistic, and that's like my biggest thing with my books is I want my characters to sound like actual people and not like some Shakespearean dude trying to speak some nice prose to you.
And you put so much research into your books as well. When you were writing, I do believe it was Blood of the Coven, if I'm not mistaken, you had said to me that something that you really find important when it comes to being an author and writing about people and the human experience is that you do enough research so that you don't end up like misrepresenting anybody, misrepresenting any cultures or people. That it's, I feel like this has been a discussion for quite a while in the community, in book talk and other places as well, where it's like, you can't write about other people's experience because you haven't lived it. And that goes kind of also into what Ashley and I talked about before with the whole, if you haven't gone through what I've gone through, you can't speak about trauma. You can speak about this, you know, and I think that is so misguided because if you actually really know, well, I wouldn't say no, but if you actually really take the time and effort to learn about the things that you're speaking about or want to speak about, then that can really open up so much more dialogue for so many more people rather than just have everybody stick to their own individual experiences in groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How do you learn from that? You know, how do you become aware of the issues that are in our world by just segregating trauma?
Yeah.
Right?
We need like the community awareness of it, you know. I don't feel like you have to go through it to understand it enough to validate, hear, and see someone, in my opinion. And as I've spoken about in episodes, there are things that Jay has gone through and Nina has gone through that I haven't gone through, but I can still hear, see, and validate them and learn what they need to support them because you can do that.
Yeah.
without going through it, without suffering through it,
Yeah.
Definitely.
And like, I know one thing a lot of people may find like weird about my books is the fact that a majority of like my male main characters are Asian. And because of all the time I've spent in the K-pop, studying the K-pop industry, studying like even just Korean American music artists as well and their struggles in America, I feel like I understand them enough to be able to write a little bit more about them, especially in a fantasy setting. Because the nice thing about the fantasy genre is you can kind of edit and move things around to make it work for you so you're still not appropriating things. And like being a mixed race, I am a quarter black, three quarters Irish. I know a lot of the similar struggles Korean Americans have gone through. We all have some of the same issues. So, like, being able to write about that in my books and having characters that are mixed race is always super, super important to me. Almost all of my main female characters are mixed race. Almost always.
I love that. I love that truly, because I think you and I've talked about this before, Jay, where I don't see a lot of representation for mixed people in the book community, and it's very rare for me to see it. I think nowadays things are becoming a little bit more progressive in that area, definitely, but it's just so nice to see authors of color, and of different minorities or different groups of people come into the community and write books that represent everybody, and not just this is where I'm from, this is what I know, this is where I stick to. Also just reach out and branch out and learn more about different people, different groups, and try to represent that in the best of light. And you have done that so impeccably well. But something that I did want to ask, how has that actually impacted your career as an author when it comes to being seen and putting yourself out there? How has being a person of color been affected, or has it ever gotten in the way or enhanced your writing or your experience in the writer community?
I definitely think it gives me a little bit of an edge in a sense because I can write about that stuff. I can write about the struggles in the communities and everything. But at the same time, being mixed is definitely hard. I've recently posted a TikTok for Black History Month about how hard is for me to call myself Black because my dad is very much a racist. He's white, he's racist, his family does not like my mom or my grandpa. So, like, it's a mixed bag. So, like, it's really hard to accept the fact that I am Black because I grew up with that family. I grew up with people saying I wasn't dark enough to be considered Black, and like people questioning whether or not my curls were real. So it definitely, yep,
Wow.
yeah, you know,
Wow.
it made it hard to start and get somewhere in the community to begin with because I wasn't being true to myself. I actually like JP Steward was initially supposed to be just a name I used for a short little while because I wanted to use a male sounding name so that I could get further in the writing industry because male sounding author names always go further. And I wanted it to sound kind of more white than anything else because I knew that as a Black creative, especially back when I started writing in like late 20 teens, like that was not popular back then. Thankfully now it's a lot easier and people are willing to listen to you more and they're willing to engage in your work more. And the community that I have seen on TikTok has been so open and so nice. Like I'm not in traditional publishing. I am self-published, and right now the self-publishing community has been really nice and welcoming to me. So it's made the experience a lot easier than what I initially thought it was going to be. Because I was expecting this to be like a lifelong struggle, but it's getting easier, especially with self-publishing and a lot more artists and authors getting their like voices out there, especially people of color authors. Like it is so nice to see the amount of like Asian representation, Black, Mexican, Native representation. It is so amazing to see in books now.
Yeah. It's so interesting that you said you wanted to sound like a male author because that tends to go over much better than a female author. And, you can't help but notice nowadays things are slightly getting better, but you can't help but notice that the disparity between female authors and male authors is quite large. most male authors get a lot more book deals, have their books out there more.
Yep.
Number one person I can think of is Stephen King. Is that his name?
Yep.
Yeah.
Stephen King, James Patterson. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a very male oriented and run industry. So I love seeing it be more diversified. And just like anybody out there who wants to become an author, who's listening right now and is like, oh, I have like a book that I've been thinking about and sitting on, but I don't know if I should do it. Please, this is your time. We need more diversity. We need more
Do it.
women. We need more people of all genders, of all nationalities, of all languages. Come on in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's interesting that so many, because I can relate to your story as well with being mixed as well. You have this, I don't even know how to call it, but there's like this very nuanced way that you get treated by people sometimes, or at least back when you and I were growing up and kind of going through teenagehood and all of that. It's like when people talk a lot about, I don't even know the term, the correct term, but like the one drop policy, I think it's called.
Yeah. The
When
one
you,
drop. I think it's the one drop theory, I think is what it is. Yeah.
where if you are a certain color or a certain tone, you can't identify yourself with a certain race, even though you are of that race or part of it. And it's just unfortunate. But do you think that your experience being mixed race and everything that you had to grow up with in when it comes to maybe internalized racism from other people, things like that, do you think that that has made you as a writer and as a creative and as a person in general a lot more stronger in terms of wanting your voice and your presence to be heard, your experience to be heard?
Absolutely. And it sucks because those of us who have gone through a lot of trauma, be it from mixed race, be it from parents, family members, like any kind of trauma, we grow up and then when we get older, we want our voices heard. That's why a lot of us advocate for mental health, for equality. Like we get stronger because of it, but it still sucks. Like that's like the one argument that I always hear when it comes to that is it made you stronger, so you should just be chill with it. Like, yeah, it made me stronger, but I still shouldn't have had to deal with that. I shouldn't have gotten called names just because my hair was curly. Like that doesn't discount what I went through just because it made me stronger. And it definitely really pushed me to be an advocate. I'm not great at posting online, but when I do, I try to be a big advocate for equality and everything and for human rights, basic human decency. Like, that's the bar we are missing, guys.
It really is, yeah. It's like I have so many flashbacks myself when I think back on growing up and the names that I was called, like you kind of are stuck between two worlds. But I think it also gives you a very good perspective on just kind of being a quote unquote outcast. And I feel like that even gives you an edge, like you said as well with your writing. It's like you get a perspective that maybe not a lot of people do. And it lets you become more empathetic to a lot of different people's experiences when you have not been in the center of maybe popular or pop industry or whatever you want to call it. You get to have a lot more sympathy and empathy, and you see things maybe a lot more clearly from an earlier age. Even though it's hard, it does pay off in the end, I guess. Growing up in the communities that you grew up, Jay, and having the experiences that you've had, how would you say you found yourself? How did you find your way into who you are today?
It definitely took a while. I will say I didn't start my healing journey until 2016, I think. Because like I had this, so I'll start with this. Everything really changed for me when I went to my very first KCON. My very first KCON was 2016. It was the first time I had ever been back to California since I was 8. So we moved to Washington when I was like super little. And so going back just after high school was insane to me. And like everything about that trip really changed the way I viewed myself, and I was going through a breakup at the time, so there was like a lot of stuff going on there. And there was this one moment, because that KCON had some groups now that are insanely popular. I saw BTS in 2016, which is insane to think about. Like, I still have to kind of process that because they weren't popular yet.
And we'll never see them again after that because we won't be able to get into any concert.
Can't afford it. Nope. They're gonna come back. J-Hope's getting ready to drop an album. I probably won't even be able to afford that right now. But there was this moment where the group that I love the most, SHINee, they are my biggest inspiration. Key from SHINee is like what I would consider my ultimate bias in K-pop, the person I relate to the most. And there was the moment when they first came out on stage, and like they were on the circle stage, and they had like these LED panels covering them, and then they pulled up the LED panels, and like that was such a beautiful soul awakening moment for me, is watching them show up and seeing them in person and then watching them perform. And this was before Junghyun passed away, so this was back when it was all 5 of SHINee. So like it was such a soul awakening moment for me, that is when I realized that like I need to start changing, and I need to be brave enough to do what I want to do and to follow my passions. And so from there, I went and I got my music production degree, which helped me fall in love with my music even more. I followed that up with an entertainment business degree, that is my master's degree. And I put myself into like school and into work because I thought that's what I wanted, and it didn't quite work out. And then I dabbled in the books, and that spiraled and went many places I didn't expect it to, and it's been amazing. And while I started working on the books, I also started like looking more into my ancestry, because I knew we were Irish. I've heard all the stories of us coming into Ellis Island. I've heard about what our family went through during the potato famine and everything. So I knew we were Irish, and I loved my ancestry. So I started doing some research into like ancient Celtic ways, like paganism and Wicca. And from there, I fell into spirituality, which has been like my saving grace. It has made a lot of my healing journey a lot easier. So I got into tarot, crystals. I adhere to, and I don't even know if it's like an actual theory, but I adhere to what I call the multi-god theory, of there can be multiple gods out there of different origins and religions and everything. So like I have an altar and everything for Apollo, who is Greek. If I'm wrong, okay, I'm right. Okay, thank you. Roman Greeks, they just copy pasted each other. It's annoying. But I found Apollo, who is the god of creativity and music and health as well, I believe. And once I found that and I really settled into my spirituality and everything, it helped me ground myself and really start learning and processing who I am as a person and feeling more comfortable in my own skin. And it took a bit, because tarot was definitely like a wild thing to get into to start with. One of my other best friends, Gus, he actually had like a tiny little tarot deck, like one of the small ones, like a pocket-sized one that he had to hide from his parents, and then he gave it to me because I didn't know how my family would react. So it took a bit, but I have really settled into it, and my spirituality and that, it was like a huge part of who I am now. And like I do have a tarot channel that is on YouTube. I believe it's Moonfox Tarot, I believe I named it. So I do tarot readings now for people as well. So we can link all that down below for you guys. And like, so like the big staples of my life after going through that journey, I've realized are like the spirituality, the writing, and the music. Through that whole process, I figured out that those are the 3 things that like mean the most to me as a person.
That's incredible. and very much connected to one another as well, because when you
Mm.
are tapping into the energy in spirituality and doing tarot cards, you're very much drawing from your intuition, which then gets strengthened in your writing and in your voice and in the music that you listen to, that then goes back and inspires you as well. And it's just, it's like
Mm.
a circle, and it's incredible.
Circle of life.
Yes.
Builds intuition and everything as well.
Yes.
Which
Absolutely.
intuition is still the one thing I struggle with, but the tarot and like spirituality definitely helps with that a lot.
Your
Mm.
intuition
Tarot
is on
does.
point. Your
Mm.
intuition is on point. The both of
See,
you are.
you say that, but I still struggle to believe that.
You know what the greatest proof though is that your intuition is very much intact is for what you've created. You just look at what you've created because it comes from such a higher power to be able to create what we create. And you have to be very connected to that. Otherwise, you wouldn't have your creativity towards it. So if
That
you
is
ever
true.
have moments where you distrust your intuition, just look at what you've created, what you've done, the choices that you've made in your life, the steps that you've taken, whether it's to break certain cycles, no matter what it is for your higher self, you just look at that. That is your proof that you've truly just been doing it all along. It's just building on seeing it a lot more in that light of I trust myself to know what I'm doing for me.
I'll
And you've been
definitely,
doing that.
I'll definitely keep that in mind. It is definitely hard, like in the moments. I'm sure you both
Yes.
know this. Like in the thick of it, it's always really hard to remember that stuff.
100%. It's a process going from not doing so to doing so.
Yeah.
And even those that are, well, from what I've met, highly intuitive, and I've had conversations with them, they still have their moments just as I do where you fall back. Because you will. You will.
Oh yeah.
I think you have to be like Gandhi or someone like high, like way, way higher power to maybe be that intact living on this planet. We know
Right?
what this planet's like. We know what it's like living on it. You know, you'll be
Like,
so intuitive one day, and then someone has to come along and say, why aren't you doing this the way that I think that you should do this? And then you fall back. And
yeah.
you're like, oh, maybe I should do it their way. Maybe I should be doing that. It's difficult in a world that is survival.
And like we're still human. So like Gandhi was on a whole nother level. I don't know if that man was human. I have questions. Like man was on another level. Like we're human. We can tap into it, but then our humanness just like pulls us right back down. And it's like, can you just not bother us for a little bit? Just let us be.
It's, I think, such a testament too, because Ashley has said this in past podcasts with us when it comes to our lives, but this also applies to you, Jay, where it's like you didn't have anybody to show you where you are today. You didn't have anybody in your life that's like, hey, this is how you get to from A to Z, you know, and here you are making your way and finding and getting in touch with not only your culture and your heritage and your ancestry, but also your artistry and your intuition, and just the gravity of that, I think, sometimes can slip by us, because it can, in the world that we live, I feel it can seem like something like that is so small, but it's not, because it's you owning who you are. It's not letting anybody tell you who you should be or what you should be doing with your life. And that can be, I think, at least personally speaking, one of the hardest fights in the world. Just, this is who I am. You can't tell me what to do.
Right?
Oh, yes. Oh,
Oh,
yes. Individualism.
and I feel
In
like
this
that's
kind of world.
something that a lot of people our age are struggling with. Like it's like universal for all of us at this age right now, because everything in the world was so tumultuous growing up. It still is. So we're all just trying to figure out who we are. And God, no, parents don't make that easy. I think those are our biggest hurdles to overcome, is finding ourselves outside of our family.
Yes. But I
Yeah.
think that's where
Yeah,
it starts. That's where it starts. It starts when we are not in the circles in which we see other people in. That's how we tap into who we are today, because we've learned from experience that we've had to stand on our own 2 feet. We've had to make our way out of the toxic cycles that we've seen the people around us be consumed by. And that put us on the path of figuring out, okay, what else is out there for me? And that opens up our minds as well. It makes us a lot more open-minded and flexible with ourselves and other people. And thus, we can be artists, we can be creatives, we can contribute to the world, we can be activists, we can stand up for what is right. And hopefully, sooner than later, we can actually move the rest of the planet in the same direction.
And I just want to say, I still love the fact that you two just started this podcast. Like, the amount of people that talk about doing something and then don't do it is so huge. And I hope that both of you realize that this is monumental as well for both of you to just be doing this, to make the time to record and do it. It is awesome and inspiring to watch, honestly.
Thank you so much. It's definitely been a crazy ride, but in the best way possible, you know, and it's something that I thought about a couple weeks ago. I think Ashley mentioned it first, where you're like, this is going to be around long after we are, you know, and hopefully it can leave a ripple in what is life, you know, and I think anything that is done with good intentions will eventually be fulfilling itself in some way in a larger scale. So to start here and to do what we're doing, we have so much fun, or at least I can only speak for myself. I have so much fun doing this podcast with you, Ashley. Having you here now, Jay, it is absolutely incredible. I'm so proud of all of us and so excited for the future and what's to come.
Oh yeah, this is gonna be awesome. And I do love editing for you guys. The bloopers are gonna be great, y'all. The bloopers are gonna be great.
Oh, jeez.
Speaking about the future, what is something that you're looking forward to when it comes to your life or your writing career, or even just for this year? Is there anything that you are really aspiring to do or to be or to achieve?
Writing wise, I am definitely maybe not this year, but I am excited for the day when I do start like making a profit off my books, because I'm gonna keep writing no matter what. It is what I'm passionate about. Gus, who lives with me, has agreed to support me financially, which is why everyone thinks me and him are dating, even though we are not. But he has agreed to continue supporting me because he has like a really nice government job. So like he's got me covered money wise so that I can continue to work on my books. But I'd like to see profits for my book someday, honestly, and to see. I think another like milestone I'd love to hit is fanfic for my books. When somebody writes fanfic to change stuff I've done, I know I've done good. I know I've done well.
Full circle.
Yeah. And like, I have a lot of stuff that I am manifesting. There is like one thing in particular that I am manifesting. I have dubbed it Shelf Boy. Nina knows this. It has been dubbed Shelf Boy. And I think that is the one thing that I think would push me to new heights and new inspiration levels, is connecting with Shelf Boy. So I'm hoping maybe this year, I don't know, we'll see. Y'all will hear about it, obviously, if it happens. But like, it is in relation to some of the DPR stuff that I've been going through over the last, 4 years now? No, 2 years. No, 4. 4. Pandemic started in 2020, y'all. Hoof.
It's been a wild ride.
Yes.
I was 23 before it all started. Now I'm 28, you know.
It was my birthday. We were out at dinner and we got the notice that lockdown was happening. It was so not fun. But like, seeing my manifestations come to life, being able to make profits for my books, those are like my big goals. Smaller goal wise, I would like to write and finish book 4 by the end of this year, but I'm also trying to be generous with myself because like, Nina actually pointed this out to me recently. I'm falling back into some of the worst stages of burnout and I didn't realize it. So I'm trying to find the balance between work and burnout. Again, I thought I had learned it. It's a continuously learning process. I hate the healing journey. I really hate it.
And know, that's incredible. You know, healing, it takes time and it's never linear, even though, you know, we can have compassion for it, but sometimes it just sucks. But you're gonna be great. So yeah, I did want to ask, do you have like a prospective title yet or something for your book?
No, but all my stuff literally says book 4, title TBD.
Okay. Well, we'll keep you guys listening or watching updated. And yes, I'm so excited for everything that you will continue to do and create and achieve, even musically speaking, because you are incredible in every way.
Listen, you didn't hear the stuff I made in my degree. It was not great. It
That's
wasn't
fine.
great.
We all need to learn from something, you know, and the only way we can be good at what we do is by making mistakes.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
So yeah, thank you so much for coming on today on this wonderful, wonderful journey of life and our podcast. It's been an amazing time. Ash, it's been an amazing time doing this with you yet again. I'm so excited. I have to say this, Ashley, because Jay lives in California, she had to get up really, really early this morning. And she looks beautiful and stunning and radiant. A goddess walking the earth as per usual.
Please take a nap at some point. You deserve a nap. I'm waking up for this.
It's okay. There's about 10 eye drops in both eyes right now. So it's like a cover for the red eyes behind it. Nah, it's okay. It's okay. Thank you.
But yeah, you guys, thank you so much for joining. We will be back next Sunday, so please stay tuned. As soon as Jay releases any new books and new updates on that, we will definitely pass it on. Her details will be down below in the description if you're on YouTube. We will definitely include it, I think, on Spotify as well, wherever you guys are listening. So definitely keep an eye out. Thank you for joining us today. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the week and life. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.